Hi, I'm Jamie from Kids for the Bay, and I worked at summer camp last summer. And one reason that I really loved summer camp was I got to explore lots of different animals and learn about new creatures that I didn't know about before. So today I'm going to be reading you a story all about barn owls. And our book today is called Animal Lives, the Barn Owl. And this book is written by Sally Tagholm and illustrated by Bert Kitchen. The barn owl sits motionless on the gate, a ghostly shape in the slowly gathering dusk. The winter fields are frozen, the trees bare, and the landscape deserted. Small creatures such as long-tailed field mice do not stray far from home. With food so hard to find, the owl will have to leave his favorite patch tonight. The pale sun has almost disappeared from view. It is time to hunt. He swoops slowly over the trees and hedges, across the rolling countryside, leaving the gate far behind. A silent phantom, his huge wings quietly beat the night air, their soft, downy surface deadening the sound. Under the splendid feathers, his body is slim and surprisingly light. The perfect flying machine. With his super efficient sense of hearing and big round eyes that can see in the dark, he will find a plump mouse or juicy rat before long. He might even come across a flock of small birds roosting in some frosty hedge. The barn owl slows down and almost comes to a halt. He has found what he is looking for. He hovers, suspended in the dark night air, with his eyes fixed on the small brown mouse perched on a fallen tree trunk. He bides his time. Suddenly he plunges, snatching his prey, folding it into the vise-like grip of his deadly claws. He flies off triumphantly, his prize hanging from his beak. Spring is here, the trees are in bloom, and small creatures scurry and scamper after the long, cold winter. After months of roosting alone, the barn owl has found a mate. From his perch on the gate, his blood-curdling screech pierces the still night air. The female answers, and they twist and turn in the air, calling to each other and playing tag in the dark like ghostly acrobats. Now there is plenty of food in the hedges and ditches, and the owl does not have to fly far to find a tasty, long-tailed field mouse. He presents it to the female, a juicy offering which she swallows whole. Then he flies off again in search of more food. The more the better. The female encourages him, begging for food by making husky hisses that sound a little like snoring. Sometimes the male hovers in front of her in midair, fluttering his powerful wings. After she fully accepts him, it will be time to mate. The two owls roost together in the crumbling buildings of the deserted farm. One of their favorite places is the old barn. It has a special owl window high up under the gable, built long ago when farmers needed owls to hunt the rats and mice that are in their grain. It is peaceful and dark up in the rafters, the perfect place to nest. The birds preen each other in the shadows. After mating, the female lays a clutch of 5 smooth white eggs, one at a time. This happens over 10 days, and she warms them by sitting tight on her nest in the gloom above some forgotten bales of straw and rusty farm machinery. She only goes off duty occasionally to preen and stretch her wings out in the open air. At regular intervals, she stands up and turns the eggs to make sure they are heated evenly, pushing them around with her face and bill. They soon get a little dirty because the nest is really just a layer of dry old owl pellets, the scattered fur, feathers, and tiny bones of undigested prey. The remains of several small rodents, brought in by the male to feed his mate weeks ago, lie rotting in the nearby straw. The barn owl is very busy hunting in the fields, bringing back his catches to his hungry mate. This time it is a short-tailed vole, the barn owl's favorite food. The days go slowly by and she sits patiently on the eggs, hardly moving. After 4 long weeks, the brooding female becomes restless. At last, she can hear faint, cheeping calls coming from inside her first egg. Tiny cracks appear on the shell as the first chick gets ready to leave his safe, warm world. He has a special bump on top of his beak, an egg tooth, to help him push his way out. Blind and helpless, his scrawny pink body unfolds like a tiny dinosaur. 2 days later, a second egg hatches. The mother feeds her new chicks with scraps torn from freshly delivered prey. By the time the last egg hatches, the first chick is 10 days old, and his eyes are about to open. With so many mouths to feed, the male hunts before dusk and after dawn, as well as at night. He brings in the odd frog or a little bird, and a constant supply of small mammals. The chicks' bodies are soon covered with fluffy white down, and their newly opened eyes are black and beady. As they grow, their mother also spreads her wings, leaving the nest to hunt. As their beautiful speckled grown-up feathers appear, the 5 owlets slowly lose their white baby fluff. They explore the nest, hopping around over the squash pellets, their heads bobbing from side to side as they investigate in the gloom. Fearless, they soon search out every nook and cranny of the hayloft and peer through the old round window and the world outside. By now, the mother roosts away from the barn, coming back only to deliver fresh food supplies. One by one, the young owls start to exercise their brand new wings. They experiment, stretching and flapping, preparing for their first perilous flights. After almost 2 months, the first hatched flies from the nest. His brothers and sisters soon follow. It has been a long, hot summer, and the farmers have finished bringing in the crops. The earth is baked hard and dusty under a sea of stubble. The fields are full of small, scuttling creatures that are easy targets for a pair of sharp claws. All 5 owlets are safely fledged. The barn owl and his mate, who only have themselves to feed now, sit quietly on the gate under a clear, moonlit sky. Oh, and so now there's some information about the barn owl. Some of its nicknames are the screech owl, or the monkey-faced owl. Its distribution, so where it lives in the world. It lives worldwide. Barn owls are found on every continent except the polar regions, although they avoid mountainous regions, cold areas, very hot desert regions, and dense tropical forests. Like we learned in the book, some of its prey are small mammals, particularly voles, as well as rats, shrews, mice, frogs, and small birds. And some of its near relatives, so some animals that might be close to the same family, are the grass owl, from southern Africa, the sooty owl from New Guinea and Australia, and the masked owl from Indonesia and Australia. Here's some more facts. There's some more information about barn owls too. All right. So thank you so much for joining me today with reading this book. Maybe if you are on maybe a walk or a hike either early in the morning or kind of when the sun's setting at dusk, you might even hear some owls in your neighborhood. Not necessarily the barn owl, but it is nesting season, so keep your ears open. And I really hope to see some of you at summer camp in 2021 for our 20th anniversary. All right, thanks. Have a good day.